Shalom, how's everyone doing? Today's day 44 of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, when we're learning Siman Hey, Seif Yadalet. Let's begin. Bebeis hamerchatz gamkein asur ledaber o laharher b'shum davar shebekdusha. In a bathhouse, it is asur to speak and to think dvarim shebekdusha. Ve'asur lahazkir shemos hamiyuchadin l'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. It's also asur to mention names that are designated for Hashem, afilu b'lashon chol, even not in Lashon HaKodesh, right, in any language. Kigon gut b'lashon Ashkenaz, like gut in German, o boga b'lashon Poland for Russia, right, or boga in Polish or Russian. Bebeis hamerchatz o b'mevos hamutanafos. That applies obviously to a bathhouse and to streets that are disgusting. V'chein asur litein sham shalom lachavera. You're not allowed to give shalom to your friends in these places. Ki shalom hu shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because shalom is considered a name of Hashem. Shneimar vayikra lo Hashem shalom. The pasuk says, and he called him Hashem shalom. So we see shalom is one of the names of Hashem. V'adam sheshmo shalom. Let's say somebody has the name shalom. Yish osun lekroso sham b'shmo v'yish matirin. Right. Let's say somebody's friend, his name is Shalom. So some people say it's asur to call him there, in like the merchatz. But some people say it's fine. Kivan she'enu mechaven al inyan hashalom, because you don't have in mind that you're talking about Shem Hashem at all. Elal ha'askaras shemo shel oso adam. You just want to say this guy's name. V'chein ohaling v'lahakel, right? And that is the common minhag to be lenient. V'yirei shemayim yesh l'achmer, but a yirei shemayim should be machmer. Okay. So the Kitzur makes a few points here, but obviously we have to start with this discussion of a bathhouse, right? Kitzur starts off by saying that just like we know that there's a din in a beis hakisei, you're not allowed to say dvarim shebekdusha, there's also a din by a beis hamerchatz, by a bathhouse. One is not allowed to say or think dvarim shebekdusha. Where's that coming from? So there's a Gemara in Masechtas Shabbos, Daf Yod, and it says over there that there are three parts to a bathhouse. One is there's the room that you come in when you enter. That's the outermost room, right? And basically everyone's wearing clothes over there. Okay. Then there's this middle room, right? We'll call it the changing room, right? That's the room that you get changed in. So you'll see people who aren't wearing clothes there, people who are wearing clothes, and then you actually have the room of the bath itself, and that's going to be nobody's going to be wearing clothes there, basically. So if you look in the Gemara, Masechtas Shabbos, it lists different halachos about these different rooms, right? So first off, you have the room you come in when you just walk in. Everyone's wearing clothes there, so the Gemara clearly says you can say dvarim shebekdusha, think dvarim shebekdusha, you can do what you want. This middle room, the changing room, the Gemara says specifically you cannot say dvarim shebekdusha, okay? And then the innermost room, the room with the actual bath, over there, you can't say dvarim shebekdusha, and the Gemara says you can't even say the word shalom. You can't greet people, because shalom is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're not going to allow that in the innermost room of the bathhouse. So the question is why? What's so bad about a bathhouse saying dvarim shebekdusha, right? We've been saying that, like, in the presence of Sorah and a beis hakisei, you can't say dvarim shebekdusha. That's a real disgusting place. That's tzoah. That has a din of tzoah. But why? What's the problem with that by a bathhouse? So, first off, let's talk about the outermost room, right? The room that everyone has clothes in. So you're allowed to say dvarim shebekdusha there because that room's just a normal room. Okay, so let's take the middle room. The middle room is a room that sometimes people have clothes there, sometimes people don't have clothes there. And the Gemara says, you can't say dvarim shebekdusha there. Why not? Like, what's the problem? So, if you look in the Eliyah Rabbah, the Eliyah Rabbah says, you know why? Because there's a halacha that you can't say dvarim shebekdusha near naked people. Right? If somebody's naked, you can't say dvarim shebekdusha. Specifically, you can't say. So therefore, no, the case is you can't say dvarim shebekdusha in this middle room is because there are probably going to be naked people there. Then the Eliyah Rabbah says, if there aren't any naked people there, everyone happens to be wearing clothes, the halacha goes away, and you could say dvarim shebekdusha. That's what the Eliyah Rabbah says. But if you look at the Bach says, no. Since this is a room that's set aside for naked people, therefore it has a status of like a naked person, and therefore one would not be able to say dvarim shebekdusha. But as the Ramah points out, the Ramah says, this is in Siman Pei Dalet, the Ramah says that when it comes to, we're going to learn about this tomorrow actually, but when it comes to saying dvarim shebekdusha near naked people, there's only a din that you can't say dvarim shebekdusha. You're actually allowed to think dvarim shebekdusha. So therefore, this middle changing room everyone would hold that you're allowed to think because it just has a din of of a naked person. Okay, that's the middle room. What about the innermost room? Right, that's the room that has the actual bath. There, you can't say Devam Shebekdusha. You can't even say Shalom. What's more about that room? So there's two ways to look at it. Either you could look at it because that's a room that everyone's going to be naked in, right? Everyone's going to be naked, therefore it's a little more chamor. Or there's another way to look at it. If you look for Rav Ovadia, his tshuva, there's in Yabi Omer, Chilek Hey, Siman Yud Aleph, and he quotes a bunch of Rishonim, many Rishonim, who hold that the reason why the innermost part of a bathhouse, right, the room with the actual bath, has this super chamer din that you can't even say shalom, because he explains what bathhouses used to be. It used to be people were not clean, so they would go and they would go into this public bath, and they would sit in the bath for a little bit. All the dirt would come off of them, would go into the water, and it was always very hot. It was super hot. So since it would go out of the water, it would be steam, and the steam would go on the walls. And now, all this dirt from all these people would be on the walls. So it was a very disgusting place. The innermost part of a bathhouse was very disgusting because people would sit in dirt, and the steam would go onto the walls. So that's why Rav Ovadia, he quotes all these Rishonim who say that that's the reason that you cannot say Devam Shebekdusha in the innermost room, right? So you can't say Devam Shebekdusha. You can't say Shalom. That's one of the names of Hashem. That's the chomer we have about this innermost room. And number 3, you couldn't even think in Divrei Torah. You can't think in Divrei Torah because it's not like this kula we have by nakedness that you could think in learning. This mamash has a din of a basic kisei, right? The room is disgusting. There's disgusting things on the wall. You cannot even think in Devam Shebekdusha. Okay, and in that tshuva, Rav Ovadia wants to make this practical, and he wants to say, what about the following case? I'll say one case and I'll say another case. Let's say a guy has a shower, and like most people, he has a shower in the room, and he has a toilet in the room. So when you go into that room, will this have a halachic status of what would be the halachic status? So obviously, if it has a toilet in there, that has a din of basic kisei, right? And the halach is by basic kisei, you can't think Devam Shebekdusha, you can't say the word shalom. That would not be a question. But let's take the next case. Let's say it's just a shower. Let's say it's just a shower. So what halachic status should we give to this room? Should we give it like the room that had the actual bath, which you're not allowed to think in learning, you're not allowed to say shalom? So Rav Ovadia clearly says no, because we don't have that chashash, right? That there's not going to be dirt on the walls because people don't sit in there. People don't, it's not like it's not the walls just aren't disgusting. Because it's not like this bath that the steam would go on the walls. So therefore, Rav Ovadia says that if you have a room that's just a shower without a toilet, that would actually have a din of a middle room. That would have a din of the changing room. And therefore, one would actually be able to think in learning there and say the word shalom there. So that's what he writes. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2 is that we have this other thing that the Kitzur says, that you can't say shalom, obviously in the bathhouse room of the bathroom of the bathhouse, and any disgusting place, right? Any time you're in the proximity of tzoa, if you're in the bathroom, you cannot say the word shalom. And the Gemara says that. The Gemara says it's asur to greet somebody with the word shalom in the bathroom, because shalom is one of the names of Hashem. So that's what the Gemara says. If you look at the Kitzur, mentioned that there is machlokes about if you go up to your friend whose name is Shalom, can you mention him in a bathroom or bathhouse? So the Magen Avraham is machmer. He says no, it's still one of the names of Hashem. But the Taz says since your whole kavana is just to say this guy's name, it would not be a problem. But he says, however, when it comes to actually saying Shalom, when you're greeting your friend, and you say Shalom Aleichem to him, the Taz says that's different, because the whole reason we say Shalom Aleichem to people, we greet people like that, is this is the way Chazal told us to greet people, and they told us to greet people this way because then we want to mention HaKadosh Baruch Hu when we greet them. So that's what saying Shalom to somebody is. It's you're saying you give him a greeting like of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when it comes out here that you can't say Shalom Aleichem to your friend in the bathroom, but and obviously that's what the Gemara says. Is there any room to be makel? Is there any room to be makel? So it's hard to be makel when the Gemara Mamish says Zasser, but if you look in the Bach says, if you look in the Rambam, he never quotes a din that you can't say Shalom in the bathroom. So why not? It's a Mefresh Gemara. So he says that you have to look at the next line of the Gemara. The Gemara says you can't say Shalom in the bathroom, fine. And then it says, okay, maybe you can't say the word like Hemnusa in the bathroom. It means like, maybe you can't say like the faithful one. Because Hashem's faithful, right? He's called the faithful one. Maybe you can't say that. So the Gemara answers, no, you could say Hemnusa, you could say Hashem's the faithful one, because that's not a name of Hashem. That's just a name of describing Hashem. It's not one of the names of Hashem. So Tosfos asks Akasha, same thing with Shalom. Shalom is not actually Hashem's name. It's just the way we describe him, that he's the God of peace. So okay, Tosfos gives an answer, but the Bach says that's a very strong kasha. It's a very strong kasha. So the Rambam probably held to that kasha that we have this rule from Himnusa that any word that's just describing Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and he's if it's just describing HaKadosh Baruch Hu and it's not actually a name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it would be okay to say in the bathroom. The same thing should apply to Shalom, because Shalom is also like that. Shalom is also a name of just describing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That might be one, maybe kula. Second is, obviously, as we've said in the past, maybe our bathrooms don't even have a status of a bathroom because the Torah doesn't say in them. So if it's not a bathroom, obviously you could say the word Shalom. But since this is a din of the Gemara, that the Gemara says you can't say Shalom in these places, one should be machmer. Okay,